Squid Game, where survival becomes a symphony of suffering. Beneath the vibrant colors and geometric shapes of Squid Game lies a brutal truth. We are all playing games, every day, in a world ruled by invisible systems. The series, with its blood-soaked playgrounds and smiling doll-eyed death machines, doesn't just entertain, it indicts. This is not merely a show about survival, it is a dissection of modern life itself. Song Gi-hun, our protagonist, isn't just in financial debt, he is spiritually bankrupt. His failures as a father, a son, a man, are not individual flaws, but symptoms of a larger disease. In Squid Game, debt is not just the plot device, it is philosophy. The series shows how capitalism doesn't merely impoverish wallets, it erodes dignity, identity, and ultimately, hope. The genius of Squid Game is how it perverts the innocence of childhood. Simple games like red light, green light become arenas of death. This dissonance shocks us, not because of the violence, but because it unmasks the lie that childhood is ever truly innocent. The games are metaphors for adult life, rules you didn't choose, consequences you can't escape, and systems designed for you to fail. The VIPs, grotesque, masked, godlike spectators, watch as players slaughter one another for crumbs of wealth. This is not subtle. The show makes no attempt to disguise its critique. Capitalism is a coliseum, and we, the debt-ridden masses, are its gladiators. What does it mean when the poor must perform their pain for the entertainment of the rich? This is not fiction. This is a reflection. The workers, divided by symbols on their masks, circles, triangles, and squares, represent a hierarchy without identity. They follow orders, shoot friends, clean blood. Their shapes echo Plato's allegory of the cave, shadows mistaken for truth, obedience mistaken for virtue. The show whispers a chilling question. If you were behind the mask, would you do any different? If you enjoyed this video and want to see more content like this, don't forget to like, subscribe, and share your thoughts in the comments. Your support truly helps us grow and keep going. In Squid Game, trust is more fragile and precious than money itself. Players are thrust into a merciless contest where alliances are temporary and betrayal is constant. Trust is a fragile currency that can be shattered by the slightest crack, yet it remains the only means to navigate a world designed to pit human against human. The series delves into the psychology of connection, how desperation distorts relationships, turning hope into suspicion. Each handshake or promise is laced with the threat of impending doom. In this broken microcosm, human bonds become transactional, not out of choice, but compulsion. The character of Ali, embodying loyalty and innocence, highlights the tragedy of trust in such an environment. His faith in others is met repeatedly with betrayal, exposing how systems exploit kindness as weakness. Meanwhile, Gi-hun's shifting alliances reflect the survivalist instinct that sometimes demands ruthless pragmatism, forcing viewers to question their own moral limits. This dynamic tension between trust and betrayal is not merely dramatic tension, it is a philosophical inquiry into the nature of human relationships under pressure. Squid Game invites us to reflect. What happens to trust when survival is on the line? And in a world fractured by inequality and desperation, can authentic bonds survive? In Squid Game, the premise seems simple. Play the game, survive, win the prize. But beneath this apparent choice lies a cruel irony. The players have no real freedom. Their desperation binds them like chains, transforming the game into a cage with no exit. This illusion of choice mirrors the societal structures that claim to offer freedom but trap individuals in cycles of poverty, debt, and hopelessness. The game's rigid rules and brutal eliminations echo the cold logic of a system that values profit over people. It critiques a world where choices are limited to survival strategies and moral compromises become a necessity. Squid Game asks us, are we truly free? Or are we all just players in a game with rules written by unseen forces? Squid Game masterfully explores the paradox of human nature when placed under extreme stress. The tension between compassion and self-preservation unfolds repeatedly throughout the series, challenging viewers to question what it truly means to be human. Are acts of kindness genuine, or merely strategic moves to survive longer? The show doesn't offer easy answers, but presents this moral conflict as the core of its narrative. Characters like Kang Se-byek and Cho Sang-hoo embody this duality. Se-byek's desire to reunite with her family contrasts with Sang-hoo's gradual moral decline, showing the spectrum of human response to desperation. Their interactions reveal how context shapes morality and how survival instinct can both erode and reinforce human connection. The series suggests that humanity is not a fixed quality, but a fluid spectrum influenced by circumstance. This perspective invites viewers to empathize with flawed characters, understanding their choices without simple judgment. It raises profound questions about identity, ethics, and the capacity for compassion in a fractured world. Squid Game serves as a biting critique of capitalism's darkest facets, exposing how economic systems commodify human lives. The games are a grotesque metaphor for the competition-driven world where the poor and desperate become mere pawns. This systemic exploitation is dramatized through the literal life-or-death stakes of the show, magnifying real-world inequalities to brutal extremes. The enigmatic organizers, dressed in their masks and uniforms, symbolize the faceless powers that orchestrate this cruel spectacle. Their detachment from the player's suffering reflects the dehumanization inherent in exploitative economic and social systems. The anonymity of the frontmen and VIPs further underscores the invisibility of those who benefit from systemic violence. Through the lens of Squid Game, capitalism is not merely an economic model, but a violent force that fractures communities and commodifies human desperation. The show demands reflection on how societies value human life or fail to do so, when economic desperation becomes a game. Squid Game employs a rich visual language that deepens its narrative and themes. The vibrant colors of the games contrast sharply with the dark realities faced by the players, creating a surreal atmosphere that unsettles the viewer. The geometric shapes, circles, triangles, and squares, worn by the masked guards are not arbitrary. They symbolize hierarchy, order, and control. The maze-like game arenas reflect the labyrinthine social structures that trap the players. The recurring motif of the Squid Game itself, a childhood game turned deadly, serves as a metaphor for innocence corrupted by societal cruelty. Every visual element is carefully crafted to enhance the storytelling, inviting viewers to decode layers of meaning beyond the surface. In watching Squid Game, we are invited not only to witness a story, but to question the very fabric of our world, its inequalities, its moral choices, and the humanity we choose to preserve or discard. So the question remains, if you were a player in the game, what choices would you make, and what price would you be willing to pay for survival?